So I just got a call from my buddy Alfred, and he needs some help off farm. So I'm gonna go out and try to help him out with something. And to do it, I'm actually gonna need help from today's video sponsor, Bluetti. So Bluetti's this company that just sent me this special battery pack, and it's been incredible so far what I've been able to do around the farm. And I'm gonna take them and use them to try to go do some work on this off-grid cabin with Alfred. This thing weighs a ton of bricks. I'm really glad I can be helping out Alfred today. He's helped me out so much over the years that to kind of be able to lend a hand with something that I just got is pretty useful too. Boy, the weather today is looking a little rough though, so we'll have to figure this one out. All right, Alfred, so what are we doing here today?
We're going to drill into some ledge so we can epoxy in this rebar in for footings for a cabin. There's ledge too close to the surface, so I wasn't able to set precast concrete piers. So instead, we're going to anchor the sonotubes into the ledge, and these guys can build a cabin.
So since we're in the middle of nowhere here, there's no electricity whatsoever, and that's where these crazy batteries come into play.
That works out really well because you can help setting up some lines.
Happy to help, man.
Hopefully.
I have about 1 billion of these favors to repay, so it's all good. So yeah, I guess this was all open.
Yeah.
I mean, but like, my place was all open at one point too, but like, I don't know, you're gonna find a lot more trees like the size of that birch or that maple right there.
Oh yeah.
Then you're gonna find like here, it's like, that stuff's like 5, 10, probably 10 years old. Nice about Vermont is you can always see Mother Earth pretty quick. Like it doesn't take much. I really like about this Bluetti is that it can go pretty much anywhere. Although admittedly, it looks so nice. I feel bad having it in the middle of the woods like this, but so be life. All you have to do is turn it on, give it a second to power up, and you can see it's got like all the readings you need.
You can even control it with an app.
You can see the power level, tell you the difference in terms of amperage and what you're doing. And then you can see here, it's got so many different inputs to use, whether you're looking for DC, USB, USB-C and USB-A in fact. And then regular old household outlets are up here. And even if you need the high test stuff, you got it up here. All right, Alfred, what do we got here?
Got a hammer drill, 7-amp hammer drill. We're gonna drill into this ledge, a 5/8 inch hole. And then I'll be able to epoxy some rebar dowels in there. We'll get a nice good connection to the earth.
All right, let's see if this works.
In somewhere, huh?
Yeah, all I have to do is plug it into here. Boom. No. Uh-oh. AC on. There we go. All right, you can actually change between AC and DC. So that's what it was set to.
Wanting for power.
No. It's funny, I'm looking at the battery meter, didn't even make a dent, it's still 100%. I mean, this is way easier than trying to be out here and having like a generator or something.
When I drilled those holes, I had to borrow a generator, involved loading it up, so I had to have a piece of equipment there to load it into my truck, and then I had to unload it with the excavator, carry it up, you know, with a chain dangling from the bucket all the way up here into the woods. It's a big production just to get the thing up here. You need all the real estate in the back of your truck and everything, and that's it right on the back seat.
Well, and the crazy thing is we're only using like half of it. There's a whole second unit that if we wanted more power, you could basically, you know, get that and just tack it right on there. And it has a wireless charging capability just like that. What I really like about this Bluetti is we're using it right now to build this off-grid cabin for some folks. in theory, if we're gonna use this to build, you could actually take it and then use it to power, because the Bluetti, like I said, you can hook it up to solar panels and it can charge the unit, and you can let that unit be the thing that powers your house. That to me is kind of a win-win. You know, helping Alfred build this cabin out here definitely has me thinking about someday, somewhere around our farm in an abandoned, quiet part in the woods, I'd love like a tiny little cabin just to like get away from getting away from it all, if that makes sense. Just like on a nice hot summer night to be able to go with Allison out into the middle of nowhere and just relax in nature like this. Be a different vibe than the farmhouse, but that's gonna be years away before I try to tackle a project like that. So what's that you're squirting in there?
It's a 2-part epoxy, like concrete anchoring epoxy. Yeah, it'll, you know, bind these dowels to those holes fairly well. I think ideally I would have blown out those holes, compressed air, make sure they're really clean. The walls are really clean, but circumstances don't provide for that right now.
Should have brought my compressor with the Bluetti here. We could have easily blown out all those holes. And by the way, yes, today's video is sponsored by Bluetti. All right, so we've been able to drill, what I guess a total of 12 holes into the bedrock. Is it bedrock or is it just ledge? Is there a difference?
I think bedrock is probably
accurate. Yeah.
Accurate.
Cut the rebar without having to use a single generator, without having to listen to something like humming and mowing constantly. And it's just all in this box that's yay big. I definitely got to say thumbs up. If you want more info on the Bluetti, I'll leave some information and links down below.
From now on, we're going off grid.
Now my wife and I have retreated to a small cabin in the solitude of these mountains.
He was dreaming of us building a cabin in the mountains, away from it all.
I'm in the middle of nowhere!
You know, as I was out there in the middle of the woods helping Alfred build this off-grid cabin for a client he has, it really did have me thinking about the allure of that off-grid cabin. Like, why is it so attractive to people to have this space that is in the middle of nowhere, that is disconnected from everything, and offers that sense of peace and quiet that everyone holds so dear?
Peace and quiet refresh the mind as well as the spirit.
Yes, sir. Peace and quiet.
I am looking forward to the peace and quiet.
Yeah, I want peace and quiet.
Hoping to enjoy some peace and quiet now, and a chance to get back to my books.
I want some peace and quiet.
I think for a lot of folks, the allure of being out in the middle of the nowhere and being off-grid represents freedom. It represents freedom from the rat race. It represents freedom from day-to-day demands. It represents freedom from the risks that come from being connected to a grid and being connected to other people. I think a lot of folks look for that off-grid, self-sufficient lifestyle because it lets them become islands unto themselves. And it's that drive towards freedom that drives them towards a lifestyle that allows them to go off-grid. Yes, there's something rewarding about working with your hands. Yes, there's something rewarding about building something on your own. But I don't think it's truly the core driver for most folks. I think that sense and allure of freedom is what drives them towards the off-grid life.
We want freedom. We must fight for it.
Most Americans don't want freedom.
You want freedom, huh?
I want freedom.
But despite that connection that many people see between an off-grid lifestyle and freedom, I see it very differently. I see freedom coming from community. I see freedom coming from connecting with other people. I think the idea that any person is an island is actually a myth. And I find that there's value in connecting with others and being part of a system versus trying to create your own system alone. And so while someday I might have some off-grid hunting cabin in the middle of nowhere, because I do too appreciate the peace and quiet and getting away from it all could be nice, part of why I love trying to build a farm is because I think in building that farm, you're also building that community. And that to me is a very special thing.
You get a horse and live in the mountains someplace and don't bother anybody.